You should focus relentlessly on something you're good at. But before that, you must think hard about whether it will be valuable in the future. This is a quote I love by Peter Thiel because it really encourages you to think really hard on what's going to be valuable in the future. And now the common fear that everyone is talking about, especially in AI, is like how they're coming for our jobs, how they are replacing people, how everything is becoming more consolidated in terms of headcount. If anything, I already talk about this stuff on my channel, so it's not like, I'm for it or against it, but it's more so about positioning yourself. How can you prepare and adjust and adapt to the climate of the environment, how things are unfolding, and most importantly, how you are still going to be relevant in an age of AI when companies are quickly looking to see how they can save costs, remove headcount, be more profitable, especially in a world that's still dominated by money and value capture. But here's the thing, I already hinted it, but the world is still dominated by value capture, market share, how you are providing value to people, how we're exchanging capital between businesses, individuals, or some sort of institution. All that is still here, and and in the near term at least, it's still not going away. So the real question here is, how are you still playing to that? And AI hasn't changed it yet, at least, right? I know people are talking about universal low income, high income, whatever, but that's not the point of the video. The video is more so about how are you adapting to it? Because if anything, AI has accelerated wealth creation, how valuable companies are, how quickly people are exiting their companies, and most importantly, like how much of a lower barrier to entry everything is in order to create wealth for yourself. If anything, AI made it easier and faster for you to go out there and create and actually do things with your life. But the misconception is that when people are using these tools, right now the hottest thing is Claude. Everybody's hopping on Claude. Earlier this year, it was OpenClaw, and we were all on it, right? And people are rushing to build new prompts, use the latest tools. Tech Twitter is always talking about the latest hot thing. There's so much noise out there, and people are just rushing to build things. I think it's kind of hysterical and comical when you go, say, on Twitter or say any of these social media platforms, and people are saying like, "Oh, look how I built like this cool little thing." That is absolutely useless and not practical to your life. Or say you are in a tough position, maybe you do have to do something that requires a serious change. Maybe you are experiencing frustrating pain points, and a lot of these cool things that people are building online is just absolutely worthless, and it does not even make sense to implement yourself. So where the heck are you going to actually find value in that of itself? So people think that, say, hey, AI is here and I can create all these wonderful things, but at the same time, the real question here at stake is, well, does it actually serve value to the marketplace, right? That's the real thing here, because you're not going to get paid for in the marketplace for just creating a gimmick or something that doesn't actually provide some person some sort of value. If it's more so for yourself, like sure, maybe it offers you some sort of value, right? But maybe if it's just for entertainment. But for the most part, when you just look at what a lot of builders are doing online, right? And I'm not trying to trash on builders because partly I am one. And on the other hand, I am someone who likes to sell, so I understand both sides. But when you can build, it is absolutely powerful now, especially too in the age of AI, because it has literally democratized the barrier to entry into software, creating apps, creating mobile apps, creating web apps, creating automations, creating internal tools, creating so many things that previously required a lot of expenses, capital, upfront investment in order to create. Now you can just create something. The moment you have an idea, you just go to one of these AI tools and boom, you already have the platform or the product that you were looking for, whether you want to sell it, monetize it, use it for yourself, or maybe to solve some other sort of unique problem in a creative way. And I think a big mistake that people make is they view AI as if it's this thing that is coming to replace you, coming for your job, especially too if you're not an entrepreneur or you're in a position where, say, I've never created a business and I'm quite afraid to do that, or it's a big risk. I don't have that much risk tolerance, and all that stuff is totally understandable. And the point here is not to convince you whether to create a business or something like that, but more so to understand that AI can be a double-edged sword depending on really how you look at it, right? Like it's the common saying, how everyone says, like, how do you look at something? Is it half glass empty, half glass full? It's the same thing here with AI, because if anything, it's an accelerator of your thinking. And what's more is that AI is more so of a reflection of our thinking in terms of the quality of our thoughts, how productive we are, how efficient we are, whether or not we can solve our own problems. And I love this quote, and forgive me if I'm wrong, but I'm paraphrasing here. This is a quote I love by Naval Ravikant, and he said this quote, and it goes somewhere along the lines of intelligence is a measure of your ability to achieve your goals. And if anything, AI has made it 100 times easier to achieve your goals. And it really just comes back to your own thinking. People come here, they use an agent tool like Manus, OpenClaw, whatever, and they're like, build me a business. They're just going to try to vibe code it, and that's it. But the problem here is not the tool itself, right? Like, a hammer can build a whole entire house, like not literally, but you get the point. The same thing with the AI. The AI has the capability and the potential to build you an amazing lifestyle, business, whatever it is. But it all stems from the quality of your thoughts and your thinking and the questions you're asking, how you're approaching things. Because if a sharp mind is actually activating and using AI correctly, you're going to get amazing results. Whereas if you're an absolute dumbass and you are just giving it weak prompts, you don't understand how to work with it, you don't understand the back and forth dynamic, you're treating it just like a chatbot or something like that, you're just going to get terrible results. Because think about it, if you have quality inputs going into your mind, you have bad quality thoughts, then the outputs that you are giving into the AI, which is just an extension of you, then that's also going to have bad outputs. So the problem isn't the tool or the AI, it's more so of you as an individual. And the one thing that still matters is that regardless whether you like it or not, whether you're a capitalist or not, money still flows in circulation in the world. Money is everywhere and it's still here. I'm going to pull up here on the screen of this river of wealth. And this concept comes from this book called Wealth Dynamics. It's a book on wealth, and I love how wealth here is displayed in terms of like how value is created. And there can only be wealth if there is a differential for value to flow from something that is more valuable, right? Because think about it. If something is just flat, there's gonna be no value flow or no sort of wealth flow. But if there's a differential, like, hey, I have the skill and some sort of unique advantage or understanding that you don't have, and then you're the person over here at the bottom, like, hey, I want to learn from you how to do something with AI. I want to learn how to, say, automate something. I want to learn how to, say, pick up more girls or something like that. You're going to pay this person, the coach or whoever this is, for that value differential that they have that you don't. So the same thing here is in this chart. There can only be money flow if there is some sort of value to flow from. So that means you have to become valuable. And now the question with AI here, it's not a question of anymore, can you build it? Because yes, you can vibe code things, you can create things with it. But the real question here is, can you produce value? Can you actually produce real value generation for society, for a specific customer segment, market, or whoever it is you're serving? Because someone out there has capital and someone out there is willing to pay for your solution. And the thing is, like, if anyone can create some sort of product with AI, how do you stand out? It's because it's less about being able to build per se. There's this famous quote, in tech where people say, if you can build and you can sell, then you're golden, right? Everybody says that. For the longest time, there was this huge learning curve and barrier to entry just to build, right? But now that has totally disappeared. You don't even need to know how to write a line of code or even understand what the heck is going on inside your code base. Of course, that stuff is good. I'm not suggesting that you don't understand what's going on in your code base, of course. But the idea here is that if you can do both, if you can still somehow figure out how to produce value for some sort of customer, some sort of person, that wealth, you are still going to be valuable to society in some dimension, whether it's AI doing it, you're doing it with AI, or you're just you individually without it. No matter what, that is still going to be true. And if you can still figure out a way how to produce value, whether it's through ebooks, info products, whether it's through some sort of service, whether it's through some sort of product, software, doesn't matter what it is, value is still going to flow from something that is more valuable to something that seeks that value. So it's less about, say, just being able to build another product or something cute or something cool to show off on social media, because at the end of the day, people pay with their wallets and their dollars in their pockets. So it's more so about, how can you be creative? How can you create something that hasn't been done before? Can you rewrite the rules? Can you do something that usually would take 1,000-man army with just one person to do? And can you scale that? You see what I mean? If there are unique ways where you can, say, either compete on price, that you're going to be the cheapest, or say maybe you're going to deliver things more effectively, or say maybe you want to compete on some sort of new unique value proposition that is totally unheard of, but it just stands out in the marketplace because AI has now made it possible for you. Is there any sort of additional upsell or downsell you can add into your offers? Or say previously you would have to hire a developer, maybe you get a $30,000 to $50,000 product built in addition to like the complete offer stack that you're trying to give people, or now you can offer it because before it either required a lot of money, or you can just quickly just generate it up, with yourself. So the best people that are going to be winning in the decades ahead aren't people who are necessarily the best at, say, building AI or anything like that. It's more so of just using what's available in the marketplace. So speaking of and referring to AI tools, all these skills, because then you can provide value and create value in unique ways that hasn't been done before, or just hasn't been unheard of, or that's just been very difficult to acquire, because now you have some of the most powerful and capable models at your fingertips that they can literally create the future. Whether you like it or not, AI is coming for average people. If you're going to be average, if you're not going to adapt, it's kind of like you hear, especially if you're Gen Z or maybe a millennial, you hear your parents say like, AI is always coming for us, our jobs and stuff like that. And I don't know what the perspective is like being a older gentleman, right? I am not old. I'm currently still in my 20s. So I cannot relate in terms of what it's like to feel more rigid, more wanting to not want to adapt and evolve myself, because I'm just not at that age yet. But from what I see is that one of the most powerful skills you're going to have in the future is your ability to adapt and understand all the technologies that are coming out here. Because if you're not going to adapt, you're going to be left behind and you're going to just stay average. Whereas, say, people who are trying to be different, have some sort of value differential, where there's always some sort of way where they can generate wealth because they're more valuable in some dimension in society, then money's always going to flow to them. And the skill here isn't just learning AI. It's more so about how can you combine everything uniquely in creative ways where it still produces value. Because that is the only way wealth is going to be created. And if you don't do something about it, then of course your job position is going to be at stake. Your business is going to be at stake if you don't do anything about it. So you always have to figure out how can you have a differential so there's always some sort of value and money flow, just like I showed you in the chart. That'll be all for the video. Let me know what you all think. Let me know if there's something specific you want me to talk about, and I'll see you in another one. See you.